All right, I'm going to try to work and talk to you. So this video is actually triggered by 2 new water tubs that I purchased yesterday to replace 2 water tubs for 2 different groups of horses. One is because the water tub itself doesn't really support the horses for more than a day, and you always run the risk of them actually having a day that they're exceptionally thirsty, and that even a day is not properly supported by the water tub. It's like a 35-gallon water tub, I think. But I mean, I had always wanted to replace it, but haven't really gotten to Tractor Supply to buy the new tub or whatever. And yesterday, I went out in my turnout process, and I kept hearing what I thought was running water, and well, the hose was all reeled up, so there's no way it was actually running water. So I'm listening, and I'm thinking, wow, the water in the trench really is running. Like, that's weird. Like, it shouldn't be that moving as if it's like a brook or something. So it still caught my attention that even though I could try to process it as being water, in the trench, but why would it be moving so much? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe a hatch of tadpoles or something, right? So I'm still trying to process like why I would be hearing like what sounded like running water. So of course I stopped, which is the smart thing to do. I stopped to give a better listen, and definitely sounds like it's coming from the water tub. So I finally, turn on my little flashlight on my phone and give a good walk around that water tub. I'm like, where is that coming from? So anyway, I find that there's this like pinhole that, all right, well, I guess, it's time to replace the water tub. So I got 2. I got one for the one I've been wanting to replace just because I didn't feel like it had the right capacity, and then one that I wanted to or needed to replace. So there's these new tubs, and I was going to replace them last night, but they had enough water in them that it would have been a lot of water to just pour out onto the ground. So I'm like, I'll just give them another day on the water tubs that are sitting there. The one with the leak is not a strong enough leak, not a big enough leak that it did more than bring it down to, say, a little bit above half a tub. So it's definitely enough water to make another day out of it if it's going to leak at that rate. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let them drink it down today, and then I'll replace it tomorrow. And that was the decision that I made last night. Having made that decision, though, instead of bringing those water tubs back into the barn, I just set them outside of the paddock with, preemptive plans to do the swap-a-roo today. So anyway, knowing that my horses, and all horses, not just my horses, all horses are very, very in tune to their surroundings and very, very in tune to anything that's different in their surroundings, my horses are going to notice that. And if I didn't give them enough time to process it yesterday to where their memory of it from seeing it in the evening is going to be enough to help them recognize what it is coming out this morning. So I knew that even with adequate amount of time for them to have studied it last night, there's a good chance that they would still be it would still catch their attention this morning. Sorry, I don't know why I'm suddenly sidetracked. That's why I don't do videos while I'm working, because I either lose my train of thought and sound like an idiot all the time, or I stop and stand right in front of the camera. Okay. So anyway, I knew when I left them there that we were probably going to need to go through a little bit of a, wait, what's that? experience in the morning with the horses. So I was prepared to help them process this new thing that's sitting outside of their paddock, right? Now, what that prompted me to recognize is that I knew in advance to be prepared to help my horses process something that I know is up ahead, so to speak. Now, if I thought my horses hadn't had enough of a connection with me, maybe I would have thought I'm in for a real situation, snorting and running backwards and pulling back and stranger danger kind of thing, right? With my horses, which, some horses certainly would refuse to go anywhere near that, which the gate is right there. So I need them to go near it. I need them to be willing to pass it. I need them to trust my leadership to pass this thing. So I knew I had enough relationship with my horses that if I said, look, it's okay, why don't we explore it instead of panic about it? I knew my horses would follow my lead. Okay, so I wasn't worried about where I left it, and I wasn't worried about, this morning thinking, oh boy, that water tub's right there, and I'm gonna have a hard time getting the horses to go past it or whatever. I didn't have that process in my mind by any means. I had video opportunity on mind, if I'm being honest. Like, I knew that I could turn on my camera and we can sit and quietly walk out there and listen for when the horses notice it. Okay, so you might not be able to see it. There's 2 new water tubs sitting there that they haven't had a chance to explore really. So coming out, and I didn't put them in their paddocks last night. Come on. So coming out, let's see if we can hear his breathing. He should acknowledge. He's like, the grass seems more interesting. Okay, come on. Good morning. So this guy here, he's going blind. Okay, but he still sees. But sometimes I like to kind of gauge how well he still sees. So there's some brand new water tubs sitting outside this paddock in the dark. Let's see if he sees them. Everybody else has. See if he sees them. We should know by the change of a breath. Do you see those? Yeah. You can look. You want to look? Go ahead, look. Take a step towards it. Go ahead and look. It's okay. It's okay. There's a water tub. You want to see? Huh? You want to see it? Or you don't care? Huh? He's like, I can't really see, lady. You know that. Okay, come on. But he saw that. He saw enough of that. Okay. So this is Charlotte, who I can't zoom away from any more than we are. What I want you to do is I want you to listen for when she tells us she sees something different. Okay, so we're gonna bring this kid outside. This is Oopie. Let's see if you can tell when he sees something new. Listen to his breathing. So he's doing what I call the bird, which is he bobs his head up and down to kind of see if he can make it go away. Good. Yeah. Yeah, it's your replacement water tub. You'll get that tonight. Yeah, you're okay. So see how he's trying to pull his shoulder away, trying to take his body away from it. Yeah. Yeah, everybody else walked by it. Should be okay, huh? I think being with horses is so fine-tuning our senses. That horses do help us fine-tune our hearing. I do feel that horses do help us fine-tune our vision, and our awareness of our surroundings. Because to be aware of your surroundings really is helpful for your horses, that you see it too kind of thing. But the trick with you see it too is to not go, oh, my horse is going to be afraid of that. Oh no, I see it too. So now my horse is feeding off of my anxiety about the horse having a spook issue or a potential spook issue, right? So you can actually preemptively scare your horse about something that they weren't otherwise necessarily either going to be afraid of, or at least not be as afraid of as you groom them to be. So it made me think about, so I did some videos of those horses coming out and seeing the water tub, and we did some video of, because it's in the dark, so it's more about listening. Listen, can you hear when the horse is telling me that they're seeing something in the dark? And here, I do a lot of stuff in the dark, so it's good for me to have kind of their little alert system working and me being tuned into it, because maybe it's not something I know is going to cause them to alert me, right? Like, I know that water tub's there, so I'm prepared for the alert. But what about something that I don't know is there? And I'm not in tune to their alert system, and we get in trouble with, a coyote or, something that we don't want to encounter in the dark. Or something that, maybe a piece of farm equipment that I didn't know somebody put somewhere or whatever. And now we go, like a harrow, for example. Not that the harrow is ever in the wrong place, but let's just say hypothetically, the harrow gets left in the wrong place, and the horse tells me, hey, danger, there's something there that is not usually there, we should take a better look. Or even like the hose. Let's forget something like that could really hurt us. Let's just say somebody left the hose out, and let's say it's a black hose, and it's a trip hazard potentially, right? And I didn't know somebody left the hose out, and here we go walking along, and now I could potentially trip on that hose. But my horse said, hey, there's something ahead. One of the things that I want to point out the most is that we can also scare our horses in advance. Being hyper aware ourselves, right, of something that's going to scare our horses. So like, I could have preemptively been worried about how my horse is going to react when they see that water tub. Oh, they're going to see it in the dark, and I'm going to need to ask them to walk past it. How are they going to handle that? Like, I could get myself all worked up before I even have a horse in hand about how my horses are going to respond to being asked to go past these water tubs, right? And what I call that static. We've created the static. Okay. I equate the static that we can create for our horses with taking, I'm sure we've all done it as a kid, or somebody's done it to us as a kid, or we've watched somebody do it to someone else when we were a kid, or even as an adult, watch somebody do it to a kid. Taking a balloon, like just a regular blow up balloon, and taking it and like rubbing it on somebody's head, right? And then holding it above their head and seeing how far away they can hold it before, how far away they are and how close they have to get before the hair starts to stand up towards the balloon. Okay. I'm sure, unless you're 5 years old, I'm sure you've probably seen this at some point in your life. If not, look it up. I'm sure you can Google, hair static to a balloon. But I equate us knowing something in advance is going to scare our horses with that. We create that static. We preemptively worry about how our horses are going to react to something that is not in their sights yet. So like we're already saying you need to be afraid of the unknown and the unseen, because I know we should be afraid. So I'm already acting. So let's say we go out on a trail and we know there's this giant rock on the trail, and we know without fail our horses are going to panic about that rock, and it's going to be hard to get them to go past the rock, etc., etc. So we know in advance that this thing is going to scare our horses half a mile ahead. As soon as we get on that trail, as soon as we get through the entrance of that trail, we're already thinking about that rock. Like that thing that we're going to encounter is going to be a problem for our horses. Or if there's like a bridge on your trail, that thing ahead that's going to cause our horses to have a hard time. And we're already thinking about it. We're already rubbing that balloon on the head, right? We're already creating that static. We're already saying there's something ahead, and then as we get closer, that static gets more and more intense, and the hair starts standing up. We do that to our horses. So by the time we get to whatever it is that's super scary that we've decided is going to be the biggest problem that our horses have ever encountered, by the time we get there, our horses are already in like pre-spook mode, right? They're already walking on their toes. Their heads are already higher. They're already breathing loudly in high alert, ready for something, because you said, it's kind of like when you watch deer out in a herd and one deer starts swishing its tail because of something it heard, and the rest of the herd tunes in. They may still be, trying to graze and be nonchalant, but they are very aware of that one deer that's twitching its tail and maybe breathing, a little bit of a snort to warn everybody, I think something's off, right? Hey, I think something's off. We're not ready to spook about it yet, but I think something's off. Because by putting them all on, high alert, if it is something to run about, they've already been hovering their foot over the accelerator. They've already been like, all right, we're ready. What, right? So that's what we're doing to our horses. We're basically hovering our foot over the accelerator, worrying about this thing that's going to scare our horses that is not even but a half a mile away still. Yet we've preemptively said, there's going to be something we're going to be afraid of. Or even if you're not like warning your horse in a sense, but you're worried. You're worried about what your horse is going to do. You're worried, should I get off before I get there because I don't want to worry about them spinning and me falling off? Should I, I don't want to worry about them bolting. I don't want to, are you preemptively worrying about how your horse is going to react? Well, your horse doesn't know what you're worried about. Your horse just knows you're worried. And your horse knows it has something to do with this encounter, this ride. So anyway, I think we create static our horses don't need us to create. Like, let them, know about it. Like today I knew about my water tubs, so I was excited. And yes, excitement and nervousness kind of come across as the same energy, but I was like more intrigued, excited, like photo opportunity or video opportunity, right? I'm like, ooh, yay. Let's, hopefully they do have a breathing change that we can hear. Hopefully they do stop and go, what's that? Right? Like I have that enthusiasm. Like I know they're going to see this. I know it's going to cause a reaction. I know that this is going to happen well before I put a halter on them, let alone as we approach it. So I could, if I was afraid, like thinking to myself, I should have moved that tub. Oh, it's going to be so hard to get those horses past that tub. If I had had that mentality, if I had had that energy, I would have scared the horses upon putting their halter on them. Like you can scare them that far in advance. By the time you get to that water tub, they're jumping out of their skin when they see it. Like, I always say horses look for excuses. Like when a horse is having a hard time dealing with their spook energy, but they're trying to control it, I see them looking for something to spook at so they can expel all the energy that they've been holding in. So I call that looking for an excuse. They're looking for an excuse to explode, even though what originally created that pent up energy was something that you passed, 10 minutes ago, but yet they haven't had a chance to come off that adrenaline. And now they're like on hyper alert, looking for something to be afraid of so that they can spook at it and expel all that energy. Okay. This is why I don't do video while I'm working, because I never stay working. Okay. Have a great day.